Good morning, students. How are you all? I hope you're all fine and doing good. So, students, welcome back to the new chapter. And today in this video, we are going to start a new chapter by the name The Shellfish Giant. Clear? So, here, this is a story about a shellfish giant. And this story is written by Oscar Wilde. Clear? So, here in this story, it tells that there was a very huge and a large man, okay, who was considered as a giant. Giant means Rakshas. Okay. So, this person, he looks completely like a giant as compared to the children. Children are very small and he is considered a giant because he was very big. Okay, he was very large and moreover that his behavior was not good. His behavior was not normal. He was really selfish. Okay, selfish means the person who thinks only about himself, the person who does not think or care about others. That is called selfish. Clear? So, here this is a story about the selfish giant who was later transformed into a good person, into a good human being. So, now let us have a look. Clear, students? Okay. Okay. So, in the textbook which is given in the book, this is the original picture. Okay, in the textbook we find this picture in a NCERT, I mean in the CBSE textbook. Clear? Now, let us begin. Okay. The Shellfish Giant summary, that means it is a story in a nutshell. The shellfish giant owns a garden. Okay. There was a shellfish giant who was having a garden where every afternoon after the school children would come and play. So, there were many children who come and play in the garden of giant. Clear? It was a large garden with soft green grass, 12 peach trees that bore fruit in autumn and flower that came out of the grass. So, it was really a very beautiful garden. That garden had soft green grass which was very velvety to the feet. It had 12 peach trees. Peach is a fruit which is peachy in color. In Hindi it is called aru. Clear? So, the garden had 12 peach trees and it bore fruits in autumn, and those trees bore fruit in autumn. Clear? And there were many flowers that came out of the grass. There were many beautiful flowers which came out of the grass. Next, the birds would sing in the garden and children would stop their games in order to listen them. Okay, that garden was such a beautiful garden that they were full of birds and butterflies. The birds were so beautiful, they could sing so well that the children who were playing in the garden would stop their games in order to listen them. Who are them here? It means that birds. The song of the birds was so delightful, it was so pleasant to the ear that children, they forget about their games and they started listening to the songs of the birds. Clear, everyone? Next. Suddenly, the giant came back one day. Okay, and one day what happened? The giant, he came back. He was not in his castle. Clear? So, you can see this is the castle. Okay, and here all around was the garden. Fine, and there were many trees and everything here. So, there were little children who were playing. So, suddenly one day the giants come back to the castle and scared all the children away. So, when the giant saw the children playing in the garden, he was really frustrated, he was really angry. And then what did he do? He scared all the children away. Scared means darana, yeah, dar jana. Okay. So, he scared all the children away. That means he frightened all the children away. How did he frighten them? He shouted at them. He said that, go away from my garden. This is my garden and not yours garden. Do not come back here and play anymore. I won't tolerate anyone coming into my garden and destroying its beauty. I don't want my garden to be spoiled. So go away from here. Fine? Okay, now let's look back into the past. What had happened? Where had the giant been for so many years or so many days? He had been on a visit to his friend, the Cornish orc. Fine? The giant had gone to visit his friend by the name Cornish orc. For how many years? 7 years. That means for 7 years, the giant was out of his castle. He had been to his friend Cornish orc for 7 years. Okay. So, as he saw the children playing, he told them, no one except him, that means no one except the giant can play in the garden, okay, till here. So, what did he say? He said that, this is my garden, so no one except me can play in this garden. It is my garden and only I have the authority to use this garden. You do not have any authority because I do not give you any authority to come into the garden and play. Clear? So, what did he do? He built huge walls around it. Then he built large walls around it. Huge means a very tall. Huge means tall, ऊंचे दीवारें. Fine? He built huge walls around it. So, why did he build huge walls around it? Because upon instructing the children, upon warning the children not to come into the garden, yet the children tried to come into the garden. Clear? Okay. Next. He built huge walls around it. Then what did he do? He put up a notice board saying, trespassers will be prosecuted. Okay, then after that he hung a notice board outside the gate in which it was written, trespassers will be prosecuted. That means no one is allowed to enter into the garden. That means you are not authorized to come and use my property. Clear? So, poor children were very unhappy. They were really very unhappy because they had lost their beautiful garden. They had nowhere to play. Clear? Now see next. Poor children had nowhere to play. They tried playing on the road, but it was too dusty and filled with hard rocks. Okay, so poor children had nowhere to play now. There are no garden anywhere in the city or in the town. So, what they had to do? They had to play on the road. But the road was too dusty and the road was even filled with hard rocks. There were hard rocks on the road. So, the children began to remember how happy they were when they played in the garden. So, they were remembering their old days, that how happy they were when they were using the giant's garden. Clear to everyone? Okay, next. Then came the spring season. Yes, then came the spring season. Okay, so what happens in the spring season? In the spring season, the nature blossoms. Okay, it blooms. Bloom means giving lots of flowers, beautiful flowers. Clear? Okay. Then came the spring. All across the country, but the giant's garden, it was still winter. Okay. Then what happened? Then all over the country came the spring season. There were beautiful flowers and trees bearing fruits, and there were many birds and butterflies. But it was only in the giant's garden that it was still winter. It was still cold. There was frost. The only residents in his garden was frost and snow that covered the trees and grass. Okay, so it was spring season all over in the country except for the giant's garden. In giant's garden, it was still winter. So, who was the resident? Resident means the person who stays. Okay. So, who was the resident in the giant's garden? They were only the frost and the snow. Snow, barf, frost, thandak. Okay, it is something pale white in color. Okay, which won't let you see the other part of the place. Okay, that means covered with fog. Clear? Okay. So, the only resident now, it is the winter season in the giant's garden. Okay. So, who are the residents of winter? It is only the frost and the snow. हमें ठंड के मौसम में हमें क्या मिलता है? ओनली स्नो एंड फ्रॉस्ट. ठीक है, हर जगह फ्रॉस्ट होता है और स्नो ही होता है. सो इन द सेम वे इन जायंट्स गार्डन देयर वाज ओनली फ्रॉस्ट एंड द स्नो. एंड व्हाट वर दे डूइंग? Whenever it snow, like suppose when it snow in Mussoorie or whenever it snow in New Zealand or wherever, what do you see? What can you find? You can find snow covering up the trees. Okay, everywhere there will be snow. The snow would cover up everything on its way. Clear? Similarly, even here in giant garden, the trees and grass were covered with frost and snow. Clear? Okay, now these residents, what did they do? They invited the north wind over, who came wrapped in fur and rode all day about in the garden. Okay, so this snow and frost, they invited the north wind. Okay, the north wind brought coldness. Okay, it brought coldness, and the north wind, it wrapped in fur and rode all day about in the garden. So, the north wind, it brought cold and it brought lot of noise. Okay, like suppose when there is a heavy storm, then what can you find? You can find a very indifferent type of noise. Clear? So, even here in the giant's garden, he could experience all those things. Clear? Okay. They thought it was a delightful place and invited the hail, who came dressed in grey, and even north wind, okay, snow and frost. They thought that it was a delightful place. The garden was a delightful place. So, they invited even the hail. Hail means barfbari. Okay, they invited even the hail, who came dressed in grey. That means all over in their giant's garden there was winters and winters. Next, the giant wondered when the spring would come in his garden, while the frost, the snow and the north wind and the hail stayed happily. So, here the giant is in a deep thought. He was wondering that what is the reason behind of the frost, snow, the north wind and the hail not going away from his garden. Why are these frost, snow, north wind and hail not going away from my garden, whereas the whole country is enjoying the spring season? Clear? Now, after spring comes autumn, but here even autumn refused to come, as he thought that the giant was too selfish. So, even the autumn, okay. So, in the season of autumn, what happens? The leaves starts drying up, okay. The leaves start drying up and it starts falling, okay. But autumn is also a beautiful season because it is neither too hot nor too cold. After autumn comes winter. Clear? That means it is about to be a year. it is about to for a year to pass, but no season has changed other than winter. Clear? Okay. So now even autumn refused to come as he thought the giant was too selfish. So even autumn he refused. He thought that I should not go because the giant is too selfish. He doesn't allow children to come in, and we all love children. So we should not enter into the garden of the giant. Clear everyone? Okay. Okay. So student, I hope you have understood the half of the chapter, okay, and the remaining part of the chapter would be continued in the next video. So here in the half part we have understood that the giant was really selfish. He doesn't want anyone to use his garden except himself. Clear? So here this shows the selfishness of the giant, who doesn't want to share his things with others. He thought that sharing the things with others would destroy him. Okay, he was thinking that if I share my garden with these children, the children would destroy it. But it is not the fact. The fact is that if we teach children lovingly, the children tend to learn more easily than anyone else, because children are really having a very soft corner in their heart. Their heart is really very tender. So when we teach the children, or when we try to explain them the merits and the demerits of what they are doing, then the children definitely picks up for sure. Okay, they are really a very beautiful creature on earth. So if we know how to handle children, then everything is very good in the world. Everything would go very smoothly. So it is the duty of the elders to know how to handle children. Yes, of course, there are some kids who are over active, who are over hyperactive, fine, but it doesn't mean that we elders should start beating them or should start torturing them. No, we should handle them in such a way that they understand even elders very well. Clear? So here the mistake of the giant was that he started shouting at the children other than explaining them that they can use the garden, but with care, because this is not my garden, this is your garden. If the garden is destroyed, then you will not be able to enjoy it. Okay, because I am not enjoying the garden, I am simply sitting in the castle, I am sitting inside my rooms, and I am enjoying the atmosphere inside the rooms. But who are the one to enjoy the garden? It is you. So it is your garden. It is your responsibility to take care of the garden. If the giant would have taught this, then the giant could have seen the spring and the autumn season even in his garden. Fine? Because the beautiful seasons love children. If there are children, then even the seasons are very beautiful. Clear? So here we have learned the half part of the chapter. Yes or no? So the remaining part of the chapter will be explained to you in the next video. I hope you have loved the story, you have liked it, and I am sure that you will be waiting for another video to be uploaded. Right, students? Okay. So here I am going to end up the class. Fine. Hope to see you in the next class. Thank you for watching, everyone.